What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here today for another edition of the weekly sports card market update. Note off the top, next Sunday, I don't want to disappoint all you. I know a lot of you rely on this video with your coffee on Sunday mornings, looking at you, Brad. But probably not a weekly sports card market update, at least not next Sunday. Maybe Monday, probably not. There probably just won't be one next week. There will be a video in its place, and that is because I will be traveling to FanaticsFest. So this video is not a fun one to record on the road, and I will most likely be dropping videos each day from FanaticsFest to some degree or another. We'll see how the content shakes out. Maybe like a 2% chance there's a weekly sports card market update next week. Most likely not. It'll probably be the Saturday vlog video from Fanatics Fest New York. So adjust your schedules accordingly. And then I will be back in the home base on Monday evening, able to crank out the content that you were used to. But this end of this week and through the weekend, you will be seeing a lot of Fanatics Fest content on the channel. Also this week on Wednesday night, we will be having Off Centered back. We got a little screwed up on the scheduling because everyone had kind of stuff going on. So we will be streaming on Wednesday evening with the boys. I think Steve is, I don't know if he's doing the national giveaway, but starting the national giveaway as that is beginning to ramp up. Shout out to today's channel sponsor, ComC.com, the sponsor of the weekly sports card market update. You can get 25% off submissions at Fanatics Fest. My order is still being processed. Things are popping on the account every few days from the one that I dropped off at Shipshawana, and I have been selling some of that stuff. I also have a small box of cards getting delivered right before I leave for New York. And there is a couple in there that I want to take with me to potentially sell. So that is good timing as well. So your home for buying and selling, go check out our friends over at ComC.com. Let's kick things off. Let's continue with the Fanatics Fest news. A few items to note if you're attending the show or just curious. It does seem like they posted the map up, and I kept going backwards and forwards on this. So they show the hobby area here, and obviously I don't know that this maps to scale per se by any means, but it got me thinking, is the card show part of this a little bit smaller? So I did a little bit of digging. This list shows 250 plus dealers and exclusive card vault, whatever. But 250 plus dealers. I thought last year was like 300 to 400. But I did some digging, and on last year's social post, they put 300 plus. But then in the Sports Collector Daily article, I did this Sports Collector Daily. Yeah, Sports Collectors Digest article. They note 250 tables from last year's show. So maybe the card show portion's a little bit smaller. I don't know. It is going to be laid out completely differently, where it runs down the middle of the show floor for the most part, with activations flanking it on each side because they have that extra space. We'll just have to see what it looks like when I get in the room. As noted, PSA will not be at this event. I did that video the other day. Another thing to note, let's talk about exclusives. I'm going to reach out to them. I'll see if I can confirm anything or not. So last year they did the Cactus Jack drop as a EQL. Basically, you submitted. If you had a VIP ticket, you got 2 entries. If you didn't, you got 1 entry. And then if you got pulled, you won. Great. You went and picked it up at the Topps booth. And then the Topps Chrome product, the Fanatics exclusive Topps Chrome with the Big Apple refractors that you see on the screen there in the bottom right corner, that you had to wait in line for. And they had a VIP, a regular line. It was a whole mess. This year, it appears that they are doing everything via EQL. There are EQL links floating around. If you you log into the Fanatics event page and track them down. But there's one on there for Cactus Jack. There is one on there for Topps Series 2 and one on there for the F1 drop. You can't just run in there and everyone try. You have to have purchased a ticket because you need a ticket number to be able to enter the drawing. So you have to put your confirmation code in from when you purchased your Fanatics Fest ticket. So keep that in mind. So they're all EQL launches this year. It seems like maybe they're still going to sell some at the booth each day. I don't know. I honestly hope it just works this way. To be quite frank, this is the year of 2025. We should have technology solve this problem for us. I should not have to go wait in a line at a con for 3 hours and waste half my day standing in line. There should just be some sort of online portal where you could do your purchase, verify that you're attending, and then just go pick your product up. It seems like that's what they're doing. The other thing I noticed this weekend is a lot of the other retailers are starting to drop details on what they're going to have. It looks like Lids is doing another player chase thing. I don't know if I'll snag one of those or not. The video actually on that actually performed extremely well. And that was kind of fun to open, but it was a pain to carry around all day. That box was huge. It sucked. So I don't know. I'll probably end up FOMOing in the one. I saw Lego is going to be there with Nike. My wife will kill me if I don't buy her the Lego stuff. And we'll just kind of have to see what else is on the show floor. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of announcements this week. But I was kind of curious to see if you are doing the whole Fanatics Fest exclusive things. I was interested in where the values peaked. And on both cases, and not surprising, it was right during the heart of the show when FOMO was at its finest. Cactus Jack boxes got up to $3,000, mostly in the $2,000 range. They have now settled into about $1,500, give or take. And then the Topps Chrome hobby boxes were doing $700, or around $600. Those are now down to about $500, but to be fair, they do not sell very often. Now, the biggest chase out of that was the Big Apple refractors. They had the Shooting for the Stars inserts as well. The Big Apple refractors on the key players sell extremely well, and they are short printed. This is the judge. On the sold listings, there is only 4 listed, and this is probably the biggest chase card out of the product, to be honest. Currently listed for sale on eBay, 0. Absolutely 0. And this year's look better, in my opinion. So the judge is probably going to be another big chase out of this product. We'll have to see what it looks like in hand. Hopefully I can win one, and then we'll do a box opening on the channel once I get back in town. I'm not going to open that in the hotel room while I am there. The other big piece of news this week, I actually never ended up doing a video on this because it seemed like it was kind of much to do about nothing. Spinatron put out a really good post, as he is known to do, kind of speculating on the whole, is GameStop about to acquire PSA, whatever. And it gained a lot of traction. Everybody was talking about it. That, oh my goodness, GameStop's going to buy PSA. And it's a narrative that everyone just kind of wants to work. Now, Nat could just be telling a story here. Who knows? Jeff Wilson did reach out to Nat Turner, and Nat said, no, that is not the case. I reached out to some contacts that I have. They have also told me, no, that is not the case. But let's be honest. If it was the case, Nat and the people that we know are not going to be like, guys, psst, guess what? It's true. All of it. We're all going to be GameStop employees next weekend. It's going to be great. Power to the player. Like, let's be real here. That being said, personally, this is just me. No inside info, just vibes. I think PSA wants to IPO more than they want to get bought, in my opinion. I think they want to become a public company again and kind of do their own thing. I don't know that they actually want to be acquired. I think Nat generally likes running Collector's Universe. I think they kind of have a lot of fun down there. So I don't think that they are actively looking to sell. That being said, if someone puts a blank check down and says, hey, fill in the numbers, maybe something gets done. But I just don't think that's the case. But I get it's a narrative that a lot of people want to work. Like I said, I didn't even do a video on it. I did a video on this. I don't know why this, like I said, I think it was Spinatron's post. But when did I do this? November 29th, 2024. Could GameStop acquire PSA and become your local card shop? Now, obviously, like I said, things have changed recently because they raised funds or whatever. I'm no Gordon Gekko, so who the hell knows? But I've talked about this multiple times before in regards to GameStop acquiring them. It's cute on paper. It's everyone's fantasy scenario. Could it happen? Sure. It absolutely could happen. Do I think it happens? Probably not, but I've been wrong on plenty of other things over the years. So, little update to the video earlier this week about SGC and group submitters. Some people in the comments were like, well, Bokeh hasn't posted anything yet, so it must be fine. It must not be all the group submitters. Well, Bokeh posted too. They got the price increase as well, with SGC increasing prices to group submitters, basically no more discount. And they're getting rid of the program. Bulk submitters can still exist. They just don't get the pricing advantages that they got in the past. Now, the narrative has been spun this week that the whole reason they did this is to slow down volume. And okay, maybe that's part of it, but I think that's a convenient excuse or a convenient reason to be able to give to why you're cutting the discount on group submissions. Just like I said in the original video that I did on this, the last 6 months or so, it just feels like there's been a lot of strange stuff going on down there with the, I don't want to say the decisions being made, but just some of the stuff happening is just like, what it is that you look at some of the things that they do and you're like, that doesn't feel like SGC. And they're not SGC anymore. They're owned by collectors now. So it kind of makes sense. They're not their own little independent company doing whatever they wanted to before. Now they have bosses. Now they have to fall in line. So, but Bokeh did update. We'll see what happens there. And they do actually talk about doing PSA submissions. And Bokeh, for those that don't know, this SGC group submitter is probably their largest. The person, Eric, lives right around the corner from SGC. So they just do drop-offs in person. If they just stopped doing PSA submissions or stopped doing SGC submissions and switched over everything to PSA, that would be a little bit of a dent in the SGC monthly numbers. We'll see how those continue to shake out. I'll make the joke. Are you ready? The Holy Grail has surfaced. All right. Yeah, I know. It's lame. Trust me. I know it's a bad joke. The Pope 1-of-1 Superfractor has popped up, graded in a CGC 9. And it is up for auction on Fanatics Collect. We will see what this thing ends up doing. But the whole Pope card just made me shake my head when that was initially announced to begin with. Speaking of random, Bruce, the Washington Nationals bat dog, called up from the minors this week. Yes, I am not kidding right now. He is the dog that runs out and gets the bats. And some eagle-eyed people on Twitter spotted something on Bruce's little handkerchief. What do we have here, folks? An MLB debut patch on Bruce's handkerchief. So I imagine in something, maybe this ends up in Topps Update, we end up getting a dog paw card with the MLB debut patch in it. I would be not shocked at all if we get a Topps Now card for this by the time you're watching this video, or shortly, maybe within a day of watching this video. That at minimum, there is a Bruce Topps Now card. Maybe they would make the debut patch a chase in the Topps Now card. That would be interesting, because I don't know. Like, it's cool. This is one of those things where if you want to hate this, like, I get it. But if they do this as a Topps Now card and the MLB debut patch is a chase in the Topps Now run, I have no problems with that, because you're choosing to chase that card. If I rip open a case of Topps Chrome Update and I see that I hit an MLB debut patch and then I find out it's the dog, I'm going to be a little let down by that. I'm not going to lie. That's just me, though it's probably still going to sell very well. So I guess, whatever. If they're going to do this, I would prefer that they do it as a chase for the Topps Now print run, not in actual mainline product. But we'll see what they do. And I don't know 100% that they're going to do a Topps Now card. It just seems like an absolute no-brainer. And once again, if they do it as a Topps Now card, it doesn't impact anybody at all. If you think that it's dumb, you could just look at it and go, not for me, and move on to the next thing rather than cry about it on the internet all day. So, Bruce, the Bat Dog. Let's transition over to market movers. Link in the description down below. If you want your own version of charts and graphs, you can find a coupon code down there, get a couple of weeks free, and get 20% off your subscription for life. NBA Finals. I know the ratings have been down. That's all the internet wants to talk about is the NBA Finals ratings. If you actually like basketball, this has been an extremely fun series. It is 2-2 now. I thought the Pacers were actually going to pull out game 4 then. Whoo boy. But the Thunder cracked down in the fourth quarter and took that game, and now we head back to OKC. Series tied up 2-2. But it's been an absolute blast of a series to watch. It's been really, really fun. Player-wise, I pulled up the silver prisms of the notable suspects. This is over the last 30 days. SGA up about 24%. Really the only one that has insane value. This is $1,300, or almost $1,300, obviously coming off the MVP campaign. Second place, Tyrese Halliburton, all the way down at $400. His stuff's staying flat. Then we have Jalen Williams coming in at under $200. Pascal Siakam, we talked about him last week, how he got no love, but no silver prisms had sold for a while. Spoilers, some silver prisms sold. Now just under $200 as well. A 220% increase in the last 30 days. So if you've been sitting on Pascal Siakam stuff for a while, this might be your off-ramp if you're looking to move off of it. And then Chet Holmgren coming down there in 5th place at around $150. He's had an up and down series. He actually played really, really well on a Friday night, I thought. Helped them bring that game home. Jalen has also been extremely up and down. You can tell he's going to be really, really good. He's still kind of figuring things out. We'll see where things go from here. Like I said, I've actually had quite a fun time enjoying this series. In the baseball world, switching gears a little bit here, 2 mega prospects got called up pretty close together. Jack Caglione, we talked about last week. He continues to just be meh. I think he's batting like 240. He did have a 4-for-4 game last weekend. I don't know what he's done yet today. I'm recording this before the baseball games go off on Saturday. But he's been nothing really spectacular. But his top prospect running mate, Roman Anthony, has also come up to the bigs for the Boston Red Sox, top prospect in baseball. He too has been meh. I think last I looked, he was batting 040 or something. I think he has 1 hit and a couple RBIs as of Saturday afternoon. Pretty big jumps in prices on the call-ups, but already starting to come back down. That blue line, the dark blue line, is Caglione's PSA 10 first Bowman. This thing shot all the way up to $1,200, and it is all the way back down to the $800-900 range. That's how quick life comes at you. Now, he did not help that at all, because like I said, he has not done much since coming up to the majors. That could change in a weekend if he gets hot and cranks a couple home runs. But this just goes to show how quick these scripts can flip. Roman Anthony, kind of probably going to do similar things. This card was sitting at, let's see, where was it a while back? A PSA 10 was doing, which one's PSA 10? Light blue line. Look at your blues. About 550, and now during the call up to about 850, and then has already come back down to 730. I've talked about it for years on this channel. When these prospects get called up, especially when they have hot springs or hot minor league runs, and then they get called up, right when they get called up, that's your off ramp. Don't get cute on offers. Someone's going to come in a little bit below what the current market value is, and you're going to get your panties in a twist and be like, no. I want to set the next highest sale instead of just moving the card. And then what happens? Stuff like this. And next thing you know, it's backsliding and backsliding very, very quickly. Just keep that in mind when you're thinking about these prospects. And Jack and Roman could go on to be absolutely fantastic. Nobody knows for sure. That being said, it's going to take them a lot to maintain their current values of their card, let alone actually go way up. They could. If they're as good as people think, maybe it happens. But that is the long shot bet with most of these guys. Speaking of which, let's look at some once very high-end prospects, shall we say, and how their cards have been performing. I ran this back since January 1st. I think this is pretty interesting to look at. I wanted to look at some of the hyped guys from last year and previous years and this year. So, our baseline, up at the top, Bobby Witt, PSA 10 first Bowman, $1,400. Bobby Witt is having a fantastic year. His home runs aren't there, but the batting average is stolen bases. He looks great. Living up to expectations, he is down 15% from the beginning of the year. And he's basically stayed flat since the season's. Actually, he's still even down since the season started. If I ran this from, let's just call it, where's March 1st at? March 1st right here, 1,600. He's still down at 1,400. And even over the summer here, he's been slightly trending down. The big one, his running mate in 2022 rookie class, J-Rod, Julio Rodriguez, down to $700 now in his first Bowman. That is down 37% since the beginning of the year. J-Rod feels like one of those players that at the end of the year, you're going to look at his numbers. His batting average probably isn't going to be super great. He's probably going to be 30-30, and you're going to think back and think, when did that happen? And I think it's just the stadium that he's in is bad for hitting, and then he's just lost on that Mariners team. Like, the Mariners are just forgotten about. Even Cal Raleigh's going crazy. Nobody cares. But J-Rod stuff down 37%. We'll talk about Jacob Wilson last. Jackson Chourio, last year's lover, everybody loved him, flat at 3%. Jackson Merrill, down about 8%. So not a ton there. He did have an injury that he started extremely hot the first couple of weeks of the season. Then he was out for about a month, and he has not been the same since he came back. But let's flip this around. Jacob Wilson, in the offseason, really didn't have much buzz around him. He was a late call up last year. He was okay, just fine. And then this season, he's been hitting the cover off the ball. Not really much for power, a little bit, but mostly batting average. And back in the winter, his PSA 10 was $100 all day long. This was $100. Even in the March, what was it back in March? Mid-March, $94. Now it's at $545, a 385% return. This is how the Bowman game is played. You either sell them when they get called up, the ones that have a ton of hype, a ton of heat behind them, those are the ones that you move off of. The guys like Jacob Wilson that are real cheap, that don't have a ton of hype behind them and really don't get it, those are the ones that you want to hold in the season. That's the difference between the two. The ultra hype that has all the hype heading into the year, the shiny object in the mirror, those are the ones you sell as soon as they get called up, because so much is baked into their prices already. It makes it nearly impossible for the card to go up. Jacob Wilson, nothing was baked in. It was just, oh, okay, he's a good little prospect. $100 for his PSA 10. That's not nothing. He has a great start to the season. I think he's hitting like 370, 375, probably the AL Rookie of the Year. $550 for his PSA 10 first Bowman. That's the Bowman game. That's the roller coaster of the first Bowman game and prospecting in baseball. That is all I got for you boys and girls today. Like I said, content the back half of this week might be a little all over the place. We'll see how it shakes out. As always, curious for your thoughts and comments down below. Will I see you at Fanatics Fest this week? If you are going, sound off down below. Let me know. Catch boys and girls on the next one. Peace.